There are so many drinks. There is water, there is ABCD, there is ABC, there is all those. But people choose what they want to be known for. So as your brand, what is your niche? What is your niche? It doesn't even have to be, even in the office. What do people come to you when they want something? What brings them to you? And that, for me, that is what is so important when we talk about brands. Eh? And you had asked Sako about the mistakes that we make. I don't mean to just say the mistakes that we make. And one of those mistakes is actually when we assume that we do not have a brand to sell. So we go for HR meetings a lot of times and we ask people to introduce themselves, and someone says, I am Jane Mutisi, I'm in HR. Of course, this is a HR meeting, we are in HR. You know, and we hear that so much, meaning you are yet to define your brand. And you never know who is in the room. You never know who is in the room. And I know we are told not to brag, not to be modest and all that, but it is very important to introduce yourself based on who you're introducing yourself to. So if you're going for a networking event and you're meeting HR people, please just know people will be introducing themselves. We are not bragging, but telling us, my name is Jenny Mutisi, I'm in HR. We already know that. And of course, we'll forget. So we need something that is actually has a, something that with a sling in it for us to remember that Sakwa said he's ABCD and he does ABCD, When you talk to Jay, if you say making us employable, Jay will ring to mind. Because that is the brand that Jay has sold to us. When you talk about Madangani Moya, people will tell you the coach. Because that is the brand that Moya has brought to us. Even in the office, people will know that when you have an issue, if you talk to Bahati, she'll keep the word. She'll not betray you. She'll not go discussing. People know you have that confidentiality. And that is part of the brand that you are building. So all you got is what people know you for, because you must have a name as a brand and you must have a reputation. And guard those two. Anything that will go with your reputation, it could look like you're doing it in hiding, but it has a way of coming in the light. It has a way of coming and actually shaming you when you really need someone to cover for you. So very, very, very important to always know that your reputation is all you got and the brand has a name. We cannot be walking around saying the brand is HR. Carve your niche within that niche. Be known for something. And let me just throw in kidogo too on the mistakes that most people make. One of them is when you play modest. Even when you give you feedback, you have done so well, but had today moderating, that was a good job. You go like, really? It was nothing. That means you don't believe in yourself, and the rest of us are thinking, but the next time I have an event, I can actually call Bahati. So if I call you for a bigger event, you might even say, hey, no, I don't think I'm yet there. Call Grace Nzola, because that's the brand we know about her, and she will brag about it and say, the moderator of choice. She has come a niche, and she knows there's a reason why Omo has a tagline. That's why they talk about that particular brand. So for me, it's very, very important that you sit and define, I am in HR, we are 17,000 registered members, so I hear. So in those 17,000 members, what is this that you want to be known for in your organization, in your communities of practice, in your APCD, even the kind of comments that you give online, all that is about your brand. All the things that you do is actually about you. And I'm not saying we feel like you're watching on eggshells, but then a brand has to be marketed. You cannot have a brand and keep it under the back and under the table, and that is biblical. I guess even other religions will have the same saying of, you cannot, you have to do something about that brand that you're calling a brand, but first define it and have a marketing plan for it, including how you grow that particular brand. So I talked about the mistake of playing modest. I also talked about I want to also talk about the mistake of us refusing to take assignments that we feel are a bit uncomfortable. We feel like this is too big for me. When we trust you with an assignment, please take it. Go figure out how it is done. Because that is part of building your brand. And don't see yourself as a HR person. HR is a profession, is all what all of us are doing, 17,000 registered with HRM. But in terms of your brand, if McVoy trusts you to run something with him and he has called you, go figure out, show up for McVoy, fully prepared, so that next time he can refer you to someone else. And I can't stop also emphasizing on the aspect that Chris has raised about networking and relationships. It is what runs the world. Trust you me, and Mark will tell you that, but anyone who is in business will tell you this. Every time I look back, I keep wondering, what could I do without people? There are things I've been called for that in those that I didn't know, and I'm sure anybody who is in that, even there are people here who have gotten jobs purely because of knowing someone, not in a bad way, but because they know you as your brand. And that brand to be sustained, it means you must be delivering quality. So keep investing on yourself. so that when people call you, then there's something you're giving, and that something is actually valuable. And least but not the least important, know how to bring out your brand to the market. There's no point joining LinkedIn or joining whichever other social media that you're joining, including the WhatsApp groups, and going to Kusoma Corner. You know, people never hear about you. You never even comment. You never write anything. So we don't know you. So anytime you walk to a room, you tell your name 5 times because we don't know you. Even in a crowd that people should be knowing in the office. Mulisema, what is the name of that HR that came? It is 3 months down the line, but people who don't interact with you every day don't still know your name. They are still asking, what is your name? Oh, you don't know me, it has been 3 years. What is your name? You know. So you want to move your brand from who are you to good to see you. And that cannot happen overnight by you sitting and waiting for things to happen. And especially for the ladies, because you go being told to be modest. There's no room for modest. Your work will never talk for you enough. If you want something, plan for it and go do a plan for it. That's why you keep seeing activations for other brands, and there's no difference between your brand and this sabun that they keep advertising. Is it called Aereo? And Aereo, Mosho Moja. There's no difference. All those are brands. If someone is not singing for you your brand, and remember it's about referrals, that's why you keep seeing the Aereo Mosho Moja here, people watching and talking about it. Your Mosho Moja, I recommend this, I recommend this. So if you experience Sakwa will go and recommend you. And that's why I have a problem with people who can't give free airtime. There's someone here who is watching Bahati today moderating this event, maybe for the first time. But they will admire Bahati, and today I can assure you the HR hub is not paying her. But they will admire how she's doing her work, and tomorrow they are going to give her a gig that will be paid. So if you don't bring your brand, whether you are paid or not paid, it's about the why. Why are you doing this? Is it something that you enjoy? Even before you think about paying you, we know if I call Sakwa for this, Sakwa loves doing this, and gonna definitely deliver for me and again. Back to you, Bahati. Thank you very much.
Quite profound. Move your brand from who are you to good to see you. Now, Mark, we have so many, we hear, for those of us who have not yet fully ventured into consultancy, it's quite competitive out there. But at the same time, we acknowledge the fact that you cannot make it on your own. You definitely have to work with others. So how can you position yourself as a person who can be depended on, relied on, and not play dirty per se? I don't know if there's playing dirty in the HR consultancy world. You can demystify that.
Thank you very much. At least you've come home. I've been out of formal HR for the last 6 years. So I think what's important is how do you position yourself? And I can emphasize the why. I didn't know Chris likes Simon Sinek as well as Jane. I read a lot of his books. I don't know whether you've read Leaders Eat Last. It's a famous book, brilliant. Anyway, back to the subject. The way you position yourself is how are you going to generate leads and convert that to business?
Yeah.
But before you get there is what is your elevator pitch? Can you get into a lift to Jen Mutisia for 3 minutes and tell her, I do one so that this happens for organizations? That small portion of time that you have with that particular ideal client that you are pursuing, you must be able to tell them, this is my brand. I help SMEs to be more efficient from an HR perspective. Whatever you want to say, but you must have that. And more importantly, and I don't want to repeat what Jane just said, is how are you building relationships? Sakwa as well. We assume that when we are sitting behind those mahogany tables, life begins and ends there. It doesn't. You have to build cordial relationships, how you relate with people, and then how will you eventually, are they going to be the first person to give you that gig, like Chris put it? So relationships are very critical. But more importantly, within the HR consultancy space, everybody and everyone is doing the same thing. How do you differentiate yourself? What is your differentiator? Why should people come to People Age Consulting or to Career Management or go to Chris' company? What is that different service that is offering, and what is the value proposition? If, for instance, they want to recruit people, how long does Chris take to fill positions vis-a-vis Mark, vis-a-vis Jen Mutisia? How effective are you? How fast are you without compromising quality? And then how do you then stay with integrity? Those of us who have been in consultancy, we may not have succeeded very highly because we don't do dirty jobs. Somebody will come to you and tell you, we have this job evaluation is going to be 15 million, but want to give us 10 million, then you have 5 million. Those are jobs we don't do. Integrity is so key. Integrity is so key. And then what could differentiate you as well is how do you then develop strategic partnerships with people who are better than you? We ride on the backs of people who are better than us. If you go to my website, you'll find that I have partners in France, I have partners in the US, I have partners in the UK, and so on and so forth. How do you ride on people who have been in that space more than you? And the same applies to human resources. Who's your mentor? Is Paul Kasim your mentor, for instance? Is it Paul Russo? I wrote an article on Paul Russo and had about 20,000 reactions when he became the CEO. So how do you use all that to grow your business? So those 4 or 5 points that I've mentioned is what has kept me in business for the last 6 years or so. And more importantly, lastly, you must have a tough skin. It's not easy, but it always gets comfortable as you learn how to swim. Thank you.
It always gets comfortable when you learn how to swim. So Chris, I know currently you are in a position whereby you interact with so many young HR professions, some even with no work experience, some even just getting the HR experience for the first time in learning. And in our WhatsApp group, we see people just asking, I'm looking for a job, I've not found a job, I'm looking for internships and all that. So how can these people leverage on what they have to elevate themselves to the next level?
They need to remember this. If, like Vusi said, if I gave you a book to read about how to swim, and you remembered the book cover to cover, and you comprehended it, and we take you to a swimming pool, you will drown. You can't learn how to ride a bicycle by watching YouTube videos. Some things you only learn while at it. How do you leverage on what you have in the first place? What do you have? That becomes a critical question. What do you know? What can you put to good use that you are equipped with? There are opportunities for you to start. And today when we have conversations about recruitment and getting to see what someone was doing, some of the things that we have for a long time probably thought they may not count, like volunteering, actually do count.
Oh.
How about you tagged along McVoy as he's doing his assignments for no pay? How about you learned from him the ropes of consulting? You have these kinds of forums and these kinds of sessions to build you, to equip you, to help you learn. How about you jumped onto every such opportunity to learn? And beyond the learning, how about you build the networks that you would need?
Mm-hmm.
Like Jen said, how about you talk about what you can do? Start from where you are. There is a place for you, like someone has put in the chat, to shadow. There's a place for you to work with someone who is doing what you'd want to do and learn the ropes from them as you look for what it is you could do. Sometimes those opportunities don't come the way you expected they would. Sometimes you have to start from somewhere. I have seen people who have wanted to transition from another department or profession, say to HR, and what they've had to do is to take a pay cut and take a lesser position. That's the opportunity that presented itself. But when pride, like that of the people where I come from, takes the better of you, you may not consider starting at a lower, lesser position. When I moved from the job I had at Mumias Sugar to get into what I'm doing, I took a significant pay cut. You know, you're coming from a net that is 6 digits to nothing. Literally coming into a space where your payment will be dependent on what you have done. It wasn't an easy place to begin, but it counted for something. Like I said earlier, looking back, I wouldn't do anything differently. So start with what you have. Make good use of it as you look for those opportunities. Be in the right places. Some WhatsApp groups would probably develop some thick skin for you. Like there's a WhatsApp group called Nairobi chapter. If you are not there, then you haven't had anything. Be in such groups. There is a lot of connections you can make in those groups, much as some of it sometimes can really get onto your nerves. But guess what? It's a chance and place for you to develop that thick skin, because if, for example, you decided to get into consultancy or into business out here, you would learn the hard way. How about you develop that now? So make every opportunity that comes your way, please pick it, run with it. When you have a chance to even grow with someone, work with them, if you can get a mentor, a coach, the better. I have a mentor that I meet every 3 months. We get to have conversations, update him on what I'm doing, where I'm focused, where I'm going, and that becomes important. The other thing they could probably do is keep reinventing themselves, sharpening their soul. You know, sometimes you want to measure and focus so much on that HR and building it and getting to the PhD level in HR. That's a good thing. How about you consider those other things that probably would count someday? How about those accreditations and certifications that you could hop onto for now that would still add value? How about you joined Oguda's class in getting to have an appreciation of analytics before you even get there? You could just, in the interview, use something on HR analytics that could land you the job when that time presents itself. I'll stop there.
Quite profound. And wow. When we have such interesting and relevant conversations to us, time tends to move really fast. But now, let's say quickly 2 minutes, 3 minutes each to all of our panelists. And this time around, I'm going to start with the lady. Is building a HR brand worth it? Based on your experience and the ambitions that you have for the future, is it worth it? Jane?
I think everything is worth it. Life is continuous becoming something different. So I can tell you the things that we are doing now inform so many things that you become later. I can tell you, and I've not discussed with Mark or Chris or anyone here, what they are now is not anything that they had in their plan. So the things that you do inform things that you become, and it's about being the best whichever phase that you're in, and then that informs you or gives you things that you never thought you'd ever find yourself doing. So it's everything you're doing right now, it's worth it. Give it your all. A friend of mine says, do it like you're doing it for God, because then you never know what doors that will open for you. So it's very much worth it. What we do as HR people is very important. Sometimes I know we are beaten. People think we're just being administrative, but they pay us because we're important. So at any one time, always know if your role wasn't important, they wouldn't hire you. But it's your work to also keep adding kachumbari and making it more valuable for the people that you're serving, the customers that are touching your desk. So understand your customers, know what your senior management wants, what the people that have just come to the organization, your peers, all those people are the customers to your desk. See what value are you adding to them apart from the routine admin thing that we all have to do based on our levels of careers. Not all of us will be strategic depending on our level. But most important, do everything that you're doing the best that you can, so that when things open up, people remember that when they work with you, this is how you were, and therefore they can vouch for your competencies, credibility, and commitment to work. So it's worth it. Back to Bahat.
Well, thank you so much, Mark. Is it worth it?
I think it's worth it in the sense that, one, you want to be one of the most admired HR practitioners in Kenya or globally. We've had friends who have gotten jobs in the UK, in the US, from here in Nairobi. How do you stand out? So you must build that brand. But if I can echo Jen's sentiments, is how do you move from routine HR? One of the best books that I've read by Dave Ulrich is How Do You Practice HR from Outside In? My last boss in Mumias was a Mzungu from Australia. He found me in the factory because when we were trying to turn around the company, he said to me, boy, you're supposed to be in the office taking care of records. What are you doing in the factory? And I said to him, until I get to know how we harvest the cane from the farm, until we convert that cane into sugar, I don't deserve to be a HR manager. HR is no longer about business. It's how do you appreciate the business and actually interact with it from an HR perspective. So become an HR practitioner from outside in. What is the competition doing? What do the investors want? What is the priority of the board? All right? What is the priority of the line manager? How are you relating with them? Are you that HR guy who they only see once in a month during quarterly meetings? Are you interacting with them? Do you really prioritize what they want? And building that brand will actually enable you when you shift at 40, like my brother Chris Akwa did. I actually worked with his dad. He was the trade union is a big trade union in the Western Kenya. How do you then transit from HR practice to consultants? You must have a brand, because what is happening nowadays, nobody's doing as business simply because we are in business. What value creation do we have? What is our differentiator? That brand is so critical. Thank you.
Okay, you've had it for yourself. The brand is so critical. Chris, is the brand worth it?
100%. And when you ask if it's worth it, I would say this. It reminds me of the story of the wildebeest, which has placed Kenya and Tanzania on the global map, giving us the taunted eighth wonder of the world. The wildebeest migration from the Serengeti to the Mara is a spectacle that everyone wants to watch. Do we care to ask how it moves from the Mara to the Serengeti? Seldom. But it moves from the Mara to the Serengeti to go replenish in its numbers. And they get to give birth in their millions. For them, that journey is a journey of necessity. Coming back to the Mara is because grass has dried in the Serengeti. So it's about time then you move to where we have green grass. 2% of the population does not make it. Is it worth it? 100%. For them, that movement is a journey of necessity. It's deliberate. They know there are challenges and risks. There are challenges and risks you'd face as a HR. You know, I lost a friend in just because of pressure of work. He collapsed in the office and we buried him. There are risks and challenges that you'd face while at it. But as long as your focus is right, like the wildebeest, the risks and challenges are there. They could be trampled upon. The journey is odious and long. They could, because of health issues, drop off and die. They could be swept by the torrents of the Mara or eaten by the crocodiles. Still, their focus is right. They know the grass is greener on the other side. When they get to the Mara, they don't sit pretty. Why? Because the African saying that the slowest gazelle must run faster than the fastest lion to survive becomes true. You can't sit and say, now I'm that HR. Dude, sharpen your saw, keep growing. Kaizen has to be your way of life. The brand is worth it. Thanks, Anne.
Yeah, quite a powerful way to end such insightful and impactful discussions. And I believe we've been spoken to some extent at a personal level. So there you had it, the brand is worth it. Building the brand is worth it. The journey is going to be quite bumpy, but you will learn to swim only when you get to swim. So I think, thank you very much. Special thanks to our panelists of the day, Jane, Chris, and Mark. Feel free to share your LinkedIn handles on the chat so that we can follow you and we can continue to harness and harvest these nuggets of wisdom from you. And yeah, I think we can end the session as at that point. So we have a few announcements relating to the group. I've shared the link to our group on the chat. If you're not a member, please join, because we have a series of, we actually have a group strategy. For those of us who don't know, we charted a 6-month strategy, and this is part of the activities that feed into that strategy. So we agreed that we're going to have trainings every month, scheduled for the second Thursday of every month. I know this is not the second Thursday of July. It's because we chatted the strategy within this month and we felt that we wouldn't let the month go that way. So we are going to have our next training session, our next training on the second Thursday of July, which is on the 14th, if I'm not mistaken. So look out for the calendar, look out for the details. We're going to have similar interesting panelists and all that in our quest to have meaningful interactions. I know those of us who have also been in the group, we said that we were going to launch a mentorship cohort, a mentorship plan. We're going to have a program. So the plan is scheduled to start on the 1st of July. So Nelson is going to release a form in the two groups that we have, so that you can list your details in case you need mentorship, and also you can list your details if you're a mentor. Then we're going to link you up and we are going to give you the structures on which we are going to do that. So the mentorship program is going to run for the next 6 months. This is going to be our pilot program, hoping that it grows into something meaningful, and we believe you're going to be impacted in one way or another. So yeah. So without further ado, I've not seen any questions in the chat. I've been trying to skim through the chat to see if anyone has a question, and I have not seen any. But please don't feel that you are left out. In case you have a question, just throw it to the group. We are usually very happy to come to your aid and give you suggestions and ideas. And we are usually very happy to just build one another and just to support one another in this venture. So I think I can officially bring the session to an end. Thank you to the panelists. Thank you for the people who've been able to join. I have been your moderator. I'm going to look for a tagline. I've been challenged to look for a tagline. And yes, let's continue to interact. Back to you, Nelson.
Wow, that was a powerful session to have this evening. And I think my location also makes it better for me to have joined in and to listen through. So thanks to you, Bahati, for moderating this. I know it has been a journey for you for this. So you came in through very good, very well for us. I want to thank Jane, who was who we do believe in very much. Chris Sakwa, just know we love you much. And our new friend, Makovoy. Yeah, it's amazing team members. If you know that Makovoy, we just knew him few weeks to this training, and he actually said that you'll be ready to support. And so many more people are looking to support. So it's just us to avail ourselves. Yeah. You've heard of rich profile of the 3 professionals who are in. So imagine their friends that they have who we have not heard of. Their mentors will also come here to take us through. So here we are small fish. Yeah, we are going to learn more and more. So we want to thank you all. And I want to thank our members who have joined. The number stood at 100. You know, I'm a numbers person, so I've just been tracking. So at some point I dropped off and I had to wait for 10 minutes just trying to come back. Then someone left and I sneaked in. So we stood at 100 all through, meaning that the team has done a good job that we were not even willing to leave. And we really thank you from the bottom of our hearts and believe that next time you'll still come through for us in various areas. And as you've heard, we are launching in the coaching session that will go a long way. So once we do the form, then why don't you join? Though we'll have limited slots, and Coach Jane, Coach Muya, they will tell us who has articulated their issues very well, who knows what they want. Then from there, we'll start with them. We see what's happening. So we have good plans for all of us, and don't just be focused and build your brand. So I'm also looking to continue building mine. I know I have a little bit of a brand. Everybody has a brand, but just need to consistently build it. Consistency is the word here. that I've been challenged of so many times that I'm not consistent in whatever I'm doing. That's where I fail as a brand. So I'm looking at it and seeing how do I build myself. So I want to thank everyone and wish us a good night, and may the good Lord